Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legends of Tomorrow. 7 episodes this time. So 402, Witch Hunt, 403, Dancing Queen, 404, Wet Hot American Bummer, 405, to- Tagumo Attacks, 406, Tender is Innate, 407, Hell No, Dolly, and 408, Legends of To-Meow-Meow, which all premiered between October 29th, November 5th, November 12th, November 19th, November 26th, December 3rd, and December 10th, 2018 on the CW. Huge chunk. If I had known that 407 and 408 were considered a two-parter, I would have just done 5 episodes and then those two separately. But I don't like doing videos after I've seen the next one already. So I'm going to just try to do this in 30 minutes. Try the best I can summarizing. It's going to be a little different than usual, but let's see if I could do it. Let's start the clock and let's begin with what happened in these episodes. So for timeline jumps, 402 focuses on 1692 Salem as well as in 2018 DC with the Time Bureau. 403 deals with London 1977, also 2018 DC, plus a little brief time in the prehistoric era. So there's that. 404 strictly deals with the summer of 1995. 405 deals with 1951 Tokyo as well as 2018 DC. This is also the Thanksgiving episode for that. 406 deals with 1927 Paris as well as Ava's birthday in 2018 in DC. 407 deals with 1856 New Orleans as well as 2018 DC, both in the present as well as 6 months ago in New Orleans. So that's there. And then 408 it does have one new scene of 1962 Las Vegas, 2018 DC, as well as jumps in the timeline back to 401, 402, and 407, which dealt with Salem, Woodstock, Salem, and New Orleans. So you got a bit of a time jump, multiple time jumps in that one. So in regards to supernatural fugitives for the episode, 404 or 402, my bad, deals with a singing fairy godmother, which is weird to begin with. But 403 deals with Charlie, who's a shapeshifter, as well as this magical plant that was from the brief prehistoric visit that Nathan and Gary had. 404 dealt with the Striga, a vampiric witch that feeds off of children. It ended up being Counselor Chad. Instead of it being an old hag, it ended up being a young, good-looking man who stole the youth from children. So there's that. Spoiler alert right there. 405 dealt with a special book. I don't know what the book's actual name is called, though, but it brings the imagination into reality. So in this case, in Tokyo, it brought alive Tagumo, which is this very huge octopus, and then also mix a warrior queen character Garima from his own work in progress novel. So we do see the book bring those two to life. 406 features a minotaur with the claims of how like it left its home due to some family misunderstandings. It's meant to parallel what was happening between Nathan and his father. So there was that. 407 dealt with a Dibbit, which was a spirit possessing dolls in order to kill people and putting the kills on to somebody else. Never heard of the name Dibbit before, but I'm very familiar with the whole spirit possession things from Supernatural. So there's that. And 408, Charlie technically is in the episodes, but like in this episode, or with the fractured timeline, Charlie seems to be, as the shapeshifter, seems to be the white whale that everyone's trying to capture. We do see a new character of a leprechaun in the 62 Vegas section, and then we do see the return of 401's unicorn, 402's fairy godmother, and 407's Dibbit at the very end when it continues where 407 left off once things have been reset. So there is that. So moving on to main plot reminder. For these ones, there's lots of different ones for each episode, and they kind of like out of the box too. So with 402, it deals with the Salem witch trials, and this one gets very personal for Zari because it's a mother-daughter duo in Salem that's being separated, and like was already dealing with her own past and how she wants to save her mom and stuff like that, yet she can't because she'll disrupt the timeline type thing. So it really gets personal for her, and she's trying to save the girl's mom because she feels like she can't do it for herself. So there's that. 403 deals with the main plot point being that because of Charlie shapeshifting into the Queen, it brought exposure to an unknown punk rock band, and that kind of changes the timeline there. So we get a little bit of musical rebellion there, especially in 1977. 404 deals with missing kids at summer camp, so we definitely see Sarah, Ava, Constantine, and Ray going undercover as counselors to the camp and try to figure out what's taking the kids. So there's that. 405 deals with pretty much creativity running its course as it is brought to life. So in 1951 Tokyo, we go on a film production set. The director is actually the one who created Tagumo, and it ended up being brought to life in ways he hadn't expected. So ramifications there. Also, this taps into Mick's own creativity as an author. So we do see how those two collide there. 406 is Hank Haywood tagging along with the legends for an evaluation to see if how much they're spending is truly worth their employment. So that's a funny ride along that we get to see there. 407 407. We see a killer doll and Constantine trying to change his past. So killer doll, pretty much this. I can't tell if this one freaked me out more, if Chucky freaked me out more, like aesthetically for what the doll looked like. But we do get that, plus as a side plot, which ended up being the main plot. Constantine tries to change the past to prevent his the love of his life from being sent to hell. By changing that ended up changing a whole course of things, which ended up with 408 dealing with the main plot point of fixing the fractured timeline. Because if Constantine never sent the love of his life to hell due to his attachment to the demon Neuron, then Constantine never would have joined the Legends. He never would have saved all these people in the last 6 months. And it was crazy to see how 6 months could change so much and have such a huge butterfly effect. But I appreciate that because that's how time is supposed to work. So there is that. Though I am surprised it did happen as quickly as it did, given that they always say you need to give some time to cement itself. But anyways, most shocking moment of the episode. Let's go right into that right now. 402, most shocking thing I put down was the fact that Constantine is on the run from someone very powerful who wants his damned soul. So that was a shock as 402. I'm pretty sure by the end of 408 we do find the name of it, and I think that was Neuron. But at this point, it was definitely a surprise for me. 403, we get the shocking moment for me being Ray turning against his team, only to find out that it was Charlie that shapeshifted into Ray's form and then attacked the team while wearing this Atom suit that she stole. So that was a surprise there. I thought, before realizing that it was Charlie that was fighting them, I thought Ray might have been fighting them to kind of defend Charlie and say, like, no, you can't just take her away. She's good and stuff. Like, she had gotten him under her spell in some way, but to find out that it was actually her doing the damage with his face, that was a surprise there. I should have expected it since she's a shapeshifter, but you never know, right? 404, most shocking thing was the fact that we got to see kid versions of Sarah and Ava, and they were actual kids instead of everyone thinking that the older versions were kids. So it's kind of like they literally had Sarah and Ava transform into kids instead of it just being a spell, and like everybody who sees them thinks they're kids, and it's still just the actor. It's still just adult Sarah and Ava still playing the part. So I was surprised that we actually got the kids. The kids are really good in characterizing their respective characters, and they really seem to be spot on and like the mannerisms and stuff. So that was fantastic to see. 405, the most shocking moment was the fact that Hank Haywood wants Project Hades to continue, and from my understanding, Project Hades seems to be about controlling the magical creatures, which definitely is not good whatsoever. So there's that. 406's most shocking moment for me had to be Hank Haywood singing really good to the put the Minotaur to sleep. I was not expecting whatsoever. I mean, yeah, it was Nate's idea, but I didn't think that Hank would go so far as to actually do the plan like that. So that was a surprise there. With 407, let's move on to that shocking moment, because it's a lengthy one here. But I was surprised that Constantine actually succeeded in changing his past, which then caused a huge ripple effect in the timeline. I mean, this is what I had always hoped would happen if they decided to mess with time the way they did. But the extent of how much had changed and the how quickly it changed is what surprised me for sure. And also because of the fact that that's how the episode ended on a cliffhanger. And like, if you didn't know that it was meant to be a two-parter, then you'd be like, holy crap, like they did not just end it there. So there's that. And then it leads on to 408. My most shocking moment has to be just seeing how fractured the timeline got just by Constantine making one change. And it's like, it was so crazy because then it allowed for them to do a lot of like insane different like parody type changes to the timeline. But then it's also like this is after changing one event that happened 6 months ago, and yet every other time that time travel on the Flash happens and they're going back years even to change something, or something happens to change, we don't see this type of effect. So I do appreciate that the ramifications behind time travel were actually the focus of this episode, and the shock was just seeing to the extent how those ramifications came to be. So there is that. So moving on to main tidbit, I try to minimize it to save us time, but let's see what we got here. So 402. Main tidbit was the fact that Ava offered Nathan a job at the Time Bureau, and he's considering it. Spoiler alert, he takes it, which is sad. But anyways, 403. Main tidbit was that we do find out a little bit more about Constantine's family history. We do see a time paradox even in play when Constantine tries to kick his father in the butt, and yet he's unable to, because then that would create the paradox, because then that would change things. Don't really get how, but if anything, Zari should have been able to kick Constantine's dad's butt just for him. So it's like, there's that. Also, we do see Zari's air totem being transformed into a watch by Ray after her initial totem necklace was destroyed in 402. So there's that. It's very cool to see how she has it now as a necklace, or not as a necklace, as a wristband. When she's a cat, it's a necklace. But anyways, moving on. 404, main tidbit. 3 different ones from the looks of it. Constantine's health depletes after he uses some of his energy to revive the last camper that was taken. We also see Ray believing that Nora could help Constantine, and meanwhile Nora is stuck playing a witch at a Renaissance looking fair in 2018. So there's that. Also, we do find out that time works differently in the prison realm, where Charlie had spent quite a long time there. So there's that. In 405, we find out that Mick, the author, is back, which was fantastic. We also find out that Thanksgiving, we also got a glimpse, or I guess we got a good portion of what Thanksgiving dinner with the Haywood family is like. And Ava got to tag along and be Nathan's +1, which was funny. Another tidbit is the fact that Nora, who is hiding in 2018, as I said, she turns herself into the Time Bureau after saving Constantine from his latest spell. So she is now considered a magical creature in containment there. So that was a surprise there too. 406 main tidbit, we have Nathan meeting Charlie, but he mistakes her as a Maya, so that gets a little crazy there. Also, the character Hemingway, he's portrayed by actor Andrew Lees, and I would recognize him as Lucian Castle from the originals from season 3. The whole episode, it was like, I know this face. Where do I see it being familiar? And then it took a moment for me to realize it was Lucian. It's been a few years since I've seen Lucian, so that's probably why. Also, another tidbit is the fact that Sarah's special visit for Ava's birthday unfortunately got interrupted, but it was definitely something that was a shock there, for sure. And then also we see Ray trying to see Nora in her containment cell, but getting caught because he tried to use the Atom suit to slip himself in a letter, and it was just, yeah, it didn't go so well. So there's that. In 407, main tidbits, I have 3 from the looks of it. We have Charlie claims she's dying if she can't shapeshift. It's like, for her, every time she shapeshifts, it's like she's being reborn. So as long as she has her shapeshifting ability, she is immortal, which we do see in play in 408 repeatedly, I might add. But when she's not able to shapeshift, that's when she is forced to age with the form that she is stuck taking. So that makes sense too. So there is that. Though I don't get why, I get why she would like age like normally because she can't shapeshift. But like, how is not being able to shapeshift negate her immortality? Because I don't think that her being immortal. I'll get to that later. I'll bring it up as a question. Let me write that. Charlie immortal. Okay. And another thing was that Mick's reaction to the Dippet possessing the Professor Stein puppet was just hilarious. It's just like he couldn't believe that, and I couldn't believe I was seeing it too, but his was just like great. And then also we see Ray growing a mustache because Nora mentioned her fondness for it in her latest letter to him. So that was something there. But main tidbit for 408 is that they did mention, because this was the episode that coincided with the Elseworlds crossovers, they had a point of Gideon mentioning that the team missed calls from Barry, Oliver, and Kara. So they kind of made a little jibe about that there. I mean, they already had their own crossover to begin with in the episode, which 408 did act like a mid-season finale for them, I believe. I'm still waiting for Monday to see if that's actually true or not. But anyways, because of the fractured timeline, we do see theme songs and split teams. But we get theme songs for Custodians of the Chronology, Sirens of Spacetime, and then Puppets of Tomorrow. And it was just friggin' hilarious. And just like the different parody type things we were getting there, it was just like, it was so much fun. And I think like of all the DC Arrowverse shows that we get, only Legends could pull this off. I believe like that'd be fully the case here. But anyways, let's move on to top favorite moment for each of these episodes. I try to minimize it. For the looks of it, I don't go over more than 2, if anything. So let's go through these. For 402, my top favorite seemed to be that Nathan was able to prove to Hank that he's a time travel, and then with Ava's help, I really like that Nathan got that moment to just prove to his father that what he's worked on for his whole life has led up to something that he could make a difference with. So I really appreciated that. And it was just like a great, like, look at me now type of moment. So there's that. For 403, I did like the dynamic between Mick and Ray. Ray was kind of going down the rebellious path, and then like Mick commenting on it from what I can remember was just hilarious. So I appreciate that. And it was also interesting to see Nathan and Gary teaming up and just trying to do the whole time bro thing, or the start of one anyway. So that was entertaining as well there. But for 404, what I liked is that we got to see the Constantine using his magic. I really appreciate that. It makes it a little more different to see that in play for this season than what's been happening in previous seasons. I mean, that's the reason why Constantine was brought onto the team, was so that he could use his magic to help them out, right? So I'm glad that we got to see how it happened, or how he uses it in this episode. For 405, what I liked was that we got to see Mick the writer back in action. And then we also got to see Nathan and Ava bonding over his family Thanksgiving tragedy. So that was funny there. I do appreciate it. And I mean, like, Ava doesn't really have actual Thanksgiving memories, right? So it was interesting to see her have that with Nathan and kind of grow their friendship together. So that was pretty cool there. Moving on to 406, though. My favorite was that moment when Hank understands the value of the legends and just what exactly it is they do and why they're needed for with the Time Bureau and just why they spend so much. So that was great there. Also, the whole tour of the Wave Rider was just entertaining, just to see how it was described to someone and then just what actually happened during that tour. It was funny. But for 407, the favorite I have was the whole backstory between Constantine and Desmond. Definitely was something I hadn't thought we would get. I definitely didn't think that would be like kind of like the catalyst, I guess you could say, for Constantine wanting to join up with the team, because like he's been trying to run and like find stuff and everything, right? So that was interesting there. And just to see it was just great to see like how much of an impact that had on Constantine, despite it being like it ending like tragically. It was just great to see like the capacity of which it unfolded. So there's that. And 408, most favorite thing I liked about it was the fact that we got to visit some old missions. We got to see different takes about it. The fact that we got to see all these different fractured timelines and just have fun with it. And then also to see the journey of Constantine and Charlie realizing why they can't mess with time the way that they tried to. So it was great to see that learning experience. It was also great to see once time was reset to its proper ways, to see Ava and Mick bonding over their love for baked foods, and then for his book. It was great to see that, because in 407 they were just at odds with each other, because like Ava wanted him to get the magical book back. He did not want to, because like he wanted to still have Garima, and then like Sarah mentioned that Ava bakes, and then Mick called them garbage cookies, and it's just like a whole thing there. But I'm glad that they found some common ground by the end of 408 when the timeline was reset. So anyways, moving into top peeve moment. From the looks of it, I only have the one, so that's pretty good. But 402, apparently the peeve I had was that Zari was very impulsive in that episode. I mean, like, here she is being told about, like, how you can't screw with the timeline, you can't interfere, you can't change things. And she's going all out to not only change the outcome of what happens in Salem, but she's exposing herself as well, too. She's using her air totem. She's really making waves here when she's not supposed to be impacting the timeline in a sense. So it's just like, for someone who, like, if it was from Charlie and she did that, or Constantine, then it's like, okay, I can understand, because like they're brand new, which is kind of what they did in like 407, 408. But with 402, with Zari, she's already done this for like a year. She's already learned the consequences of what it means to screw with time, and yet she did it. So it was a peeve to see her be as impulsive as she is. I know like her emotions are mostly driving her in that episode. It's just annoying though that like, not only that she was impulsive, that was annoying, but the fact that you don't really see any ramifications from it, which was strange. Unless they like did that whole time flash thing with everybody, that they erased their memories. I don't see why there wasn't a change. But anyways, 403. Top peeve I had was the fact that Sarah didn't tell Nathan about Charlie. She should have told him right after he told her about Ava's offer for him to have a job at the Time Bureau. I mean, it blew up in their faces later on when he found out in 406. But I feel like in that moment, Sarah should have just told him. So, like, he had a heads up. He didn't have to go see her for himself. At least he would be aware that, like, this is kind of the situation we're in. But, yeah, nothing can be changed. 404, the only peeve I could really think of was the fact that there was no Nathan. I mean, like, this is probably the first episode where, like, Nathan wasn't really part of the mission, and I love Nathan on the missions. He provides those historical backstories or back histories and stuff like that, right? He gives that importance to the timeline of why this event needs to be a certain way, right? And like for something like summer camp, I would have loved to have seen Nathan as one of the counselors. I mean, him and Ray are like, I would have wanted them to see that, right? But so I was disappointed we didn't get to see him in that episode. For 405, the peeve seems to be for me that the mention of Project Hades. I mean, just when I thought when Hank Haywood was coming around about like the Time Bureau and what they do, he pulls a shady move like calling and approving Project Hades and wanting to move forward with it. So it's just a peeve. Like just when I was starting to trust him, he pulls this move. So I was like annoyed there. For 406 though, peeve I have is that Nathan told Sarah that she and the rest of the team that he was leaving Legends, and it just made it seem like he's now permanently moving to the Time Bureau, which was a disappointment because, again, like I said, I love Nathan on the team. So it's just like, I hope that doesn't mean that's less screen time or it's less scenes of him with the team because, like, he's great with them. So there's that. Another peeve I have for the episode is the fact that the whole team doesn't seem to be utilized as much anymore. It's always like they're split off into like teams, and then like one half is like doing the main things for the mission, and then the other half is like stuck on the ship as backup. And like beforehand, in like the earlier seasons, everybody would be a part of the mission, and they'd all be there. They'd all screw up, or like they'd all be there to fix it, or they'd all be part of like the fight scenes and stuff. But now it just seems like it's only a few characters going at a time, and it's just like, well, it's disappointing. So I'll leave it at that. For 407, a peeve I have was the fact that we got the killer doll. It just freaked me out so much. That first doll, the Dibbit possessed, was just so creepy. I mean, like, it really, I can't tell if that one creeps you out more than Chucky itself. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all. For the killer doll things, like, yeah, no. But moving on to 408, the top peeve that I had for that was the fact that we had singing puppets. I mean, the idea that they got turned to puppets, that didn't bother me because it makes sense why they would. I just didn't understand why they were singing all of a sudden. It was like the segment of Puppets of Tomorrow seemed like it was meant to be like a kid's show, like Sesame Street or something like that. It was just like, it was so weird. So it was just like, it was entertaining, but it was weird. Why would they sing all of a sudden? But anyways, there's that. Moving on to any relationships and dynamics that I noticed in the episodes. With 402, we do see like a kind of like a hate war thing between, or definitely some tension between Mick and Constantine, just because this is the first episode Constantine's like coming on board and trying to make his place, and like it's just stepping all over where Mick usually claims his thing. So that was a tense adjustment for them. 403, we do find out that Constantine dumped Gary, which is wow. But poor Gary. We also find out that Amaya has already started a family with someone, which was pretty fast. But this is side knowledge because she's still back in Zambezi. So there's that. 404, we do see bonding happening between Mick and Charlie while she's still in her containment cell in the lab. She also gets a fashion upgrade into more of like a punk rocker style as opposed to Amaya's traditional conservative look. So there's that bonding there. With 405, the dynamic we get is some scenes with Gary and Mona. We do see some mentions of like Ray and Nora, and then we do see bonding between Nathan and Ava. And this was the Thanksgiving one, so obviously. With 406, we do see the relationship more for Sarah and Ava. We do see some bonding happening between Ava, Mona, and Nora when they're trapped inside of Nora's containment room. We do see a lot of references to Ray and Nora potentially having something together. And then we do see some understanding bonds happening between Nathan and Hank with the father-son duo. So there's that. With 407, we do see a lot of focus on Constantine and Desmond. We do see some fun interactions with Nathan, Mona, and Gary when Gary wants Nathan to ask Mona to see if she likes him, while Mona talks to Nathan about her crush on Kobe, which is another one, Mona and Kobe, and it's just like it's a fun misunderstanding there. Plus, we also see some tension between Ava, Sarah, and Mick when Sarah tries to get the two to bond because she cares for both of them and she wants them to be united, or at least tolerable towards each other. So there's that. 408 definitely deals with more of the relationship between Constantine and Desmond, because that is the point that fractured time. So there's that. Plus there's also, I guess, the dynamic that Charlie realizes she has with the legends and what her not being involved would have meant for them. So it's kind of a learning journey there. But moving on to random questions very quickly. First one, what is Project Hades? This stems from 405. 2, why did Zari turn into a cat when Constantine changed the timeline? That was actually answered in 408, and it was because Fairy Godmother did it. So there's that. Next question, if time changed and is reset, is Kobe still on the loose? We do find out in 408 that Hank gets a report saying that he's still on the loose. So there's that. We do not know the state of Mona's condition, though, however, by the end of 408. So there's that, which was my another question. So with the timeline reset, is Mona in critical danger? Because she was clawed in the stomach before the whole fracture happened. And then since everything went back to that moment, I would assume that she's still clawed in the stomach. So that's there. That's the timer. A few more questions. Next one, is Neuron possessing Desmond now? And we do see him at the very end of 408 taking on this demonic form that just creeps me up with all those holes in it. So there's that. Also, just a quick thing, because just in case you might mention it, it took me a while. I guess it took me until someone else told me, but I recognize now that Desmond used to play Apocalypse Michael on Supernatural in season 13. Now that I know that, I can't stop seeing that now. So it's just, it's a little weird, but yeah. But next question is, will Gideon have a permanent holographic projection upgrade like she showed in the Custodians of the Chronology segment in 408? I mean, I don't see why not. It's like, that's actually pretty cool that we got to see like her human form in a hologram projection instead of just a voice. But I'm wondering if that was only just meant as a fracture change in the 408. So there's that. Now let's go back to Charlie being immortal. So the question is, what about Charlie is what makes her immortal? Like, I can get, like, if the immortality, like, her changing shape as a shapeshifter would make sense for her being immortal, which means, like, she doesn't age because she can just change to whatever age that she wants, right? So that makes sense. But in episode 408, we see Charlie getting stabbed. We see her neck getting snapped. We see her getting shot in the chest. And yet she survived all those deaths. Like, she would technically pass out for a moment, and then she'd wake up again, all healed and everything, ready to go. So she's immortal in that sense as well, too. But, like, if she's able to evade death like that, is that connected to her shape-shifting powers? Because, like, if you take those powers away, I don't get why that part of her immortality would just suddenly go away. I would understand why, like, the whole not aging thing would go away, because now she is forced to grow old like a regular mortal. But, like, her invincibility, I guess, to death, I don't see how that's connected to her shapeshifting. So that was a major question there that came up along the way. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. Let's go straight into predictions. But is there a promo? I don't think I saw a promo for 409. But if 408 truly is this mid-season finale, then 409 is not supposed to come back until April of 2019. Now, that's a huge, huge wait, which sucks, considering this is also a short season, too. So season as well. So I don't get why we don't just have the whole season and then you go start airing your next show. But we have to wait until April, so there's definitely no synopsis about that episode. But it'll be very interesting to see what this second half of the season has in store for us. But otherwise, what do you guys think of these 7 episodes? What do you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, theories, and predictions about all of that. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other video if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog, promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all the good stuff, all fun on place. So go check that out. I still have to catch up, so please be patient about that. But otherwise, WordPress account, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to my WordPress account. It's more detailed, it's more organized. It's still a work in progress as well, so please keep that in mind. But the link for that will be down below. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back in a couple of months to see what I have to say about 409 of Legends. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, a great week wherever you are. I hope you guys have a safe and happy holiday, and I hope you ring in the new year with a lot of love in your heart. But until the next time, guys, this is Mel signing off. Bye.